Circle of Hope Pastors here. We come to you with a question to answer. There's Rachel, Julie, Joshua, Ben. I'm Johnny. We want to answer a question in just a few minutes, and maybe solicit some feedback from y'all too. How do you make a spiritual friend? First of all, what even is that?
I would contend that it's a deep friendship between adults, and that being spiritual is inherently a human thing. So anytime that we're connected human to human, like especially like, older than 35, like me, your friendships are going to be spiritual if they're
way to get rid of the
real
dualism.
And I think you're calling out the best in each other, and you don't just exist for each other. You're thinking about growing each other into to do more, to be more, to be who God is calling us to be.
Yeah, like the word cultivate. Like when you cultivate a garden, you're like preparing it for use, you're tending to it, you're paying attention to what's happening.
Those are all really good. I also think of like the David Benner book, Sacred Companions, The Gift of Spiritual Friendship.
Oh, good one.
It's not really like a protected term, but I think for me, cultivating a spiritual friendship has to do with this intention that both of us have to, even when we meet a particular kind of way, we're listening for God in one another, doing this sort of mutual spiritual directed direction, and maybe even more than one-on-one, but it has a level of intentionality to it.
Like our cells, we get together, and I hope that people, when they're at their cell meeting, they feel like they're with their friends. I really do hope that they make a real connection of intimacy there, but that also, it's we're not just doing this because like we need more friends. A lot of people that are part of cells like have plenty of friends. Other people are in cells because they're actually quite lonely. So like people are coming from a lot of different places, but there is this intentionality to it that defines the relationships in it. So I think it's kind of like that.
And I think an important idea is your cell may not just be full of your spiritual friends. The first cell I was part of 14 years ago, or something like that, I met a spiritual friend that is still my friend now, Joshua Grace. So he was my cell leader, and I was a loudmouth 19-year-old. Now I'm a loudmouth 32-year-old. So not a lot has changed, except I've lost hair. But we are now closer. And we have a mutual kind of spiritual friendship.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be because you have everything in common and you do a lot of stuff together. I think a spiritual friendship has like a deeper quality that is about kind of that intentionality, that choice to care about each other's development and their soul and their spiritual life. So you can be a spiritual friend without, with anybody, I guess.
Do you ever hear the term accountability partner? Is that the same thing?
No,
you're not just noticing when each other messes up. You're revealing the image of God in one another's, and you're building upon that. And I think it does help to be sort of on the same mission together. So I think you might really get close to the people that you're part of the church with, because you have the same mission.
When we talk about accountability around here, we're talking about helping people fulfill what they've agreed to do. So when I tell somebody, hey, how I deepen my spiritual friendships, or any friendship really, is by being vulnerable, expressing my needs. Every single protective instinct I have says, don't tell them how you really feel, and don't tell them what you want, because once you open up your heart, someone's going to stab it. So there's no reason to open yourself up to pain, because your whole life should be avoiding it. That's my like base mentality. And when I open up and share something and take that risk, usually the results are worth it. It pays dividends.
And if you're trying to be a spiritual friend and someone is opening up, I think just some little tips for that, rather than responding with your opinion or even like a big reaction or a advice, you're asking questions that, like Rachel and Julie were getting at. You're asking questions that get at to what is God saying. So questions like, in this moment of hardship, what is the invitation God is offering? So you're sort of directing people towards the spiritual questions rather than even than just categorizing it or reacting.
And it also has to do with deepening yourself as well. You can't just use spiritual language in a regular friendship and imagine that you're going to be a spiritual friend. I mean, we're working on an interior life here. God will deepen you, I think, if you desire it.
Yeah. So practically, we've got be intentional, maybe be on a team with some people, be a listener and asking questions instead of just reacting. Any other practical tips we have before we're done?
Be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be in tune with your own pain and your own questions and how you want God to heal you. That'll connect you to others for sure.
Make agreements.
And just keep seeking God yourself. You know, you're tending to your own spiritual life, I think, is like the best way to help others do it.
Yeah.
Make an appointment. And put it, even if you have to have it 2 months in advance, put it on the calendar. Have this, like, ask somebody to have this conversation with you.
When people get together without making appointments, this is a whole new world. Randomly assemble. Cool. There you have it, from 5 great spiritual friends. If you think somebody would appreciate this, benefit from it, share it with them. Like the page, subscribe to it. There's a variety of ways to connect with us. Thanks for listening, and follow up with more questions. We'll answer them too. See you.